So I'm just chilling watching Logan, the noir version, the black and white. That's pretty dope. But I'm sitting here like, okay, so I did a live earlier at a bar and played some guitar, and they clipped my or the Wi-Fi was bad, whatever. But it's almost like it's systematically placed to place the words, cut and paste to make it so that my intention is not being heard properly, and it's really frustrating, really. I don't know if it's the Aladdin AI or something similar, or if it's a group of hackers that don't want me to succeed, or a conglomeration of both, for all I know, or all of the above. But yeah. So Aladdin, the AI thing by BlackRock. I don't remember his name right now. Pretty sure it's Jewish, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah. So BlackRock, what was it? 88 is when they created BlackRock or Aladdin or whatever it was. The dude that is the name. He's the Epstein of the Aladdin project. He's the face. He's the fall guy. He's the one that's gonna go down if everything ends up falling. The rest of the people have plausible deniability, you know? So back to BlackRock. I think it was the late 1800s that the 8 families of the ruling class decided to take over in England, and then they decided to infiltrate the United States slowly and meticulously, but really it was the world. They just were focusing on the United States at the time because it was the main uh, superpower that stood in the way of taking over the rest of the world. So they meticulously changed every thought process of the American culture over 140 now year, 130, about 140 year plan to rewrite the American history to the point where they could rewrite the American history, to write the narrative so much that it changed the mindscape of the mass populace and eliminated all of the ones that had a thought process of their own. And then things happened and people started to wake up, So that's where we are now. Well, yeah, that's where we are now. Is things are changing in a positive direction in the grand scheme of things, you know. It may not seem like it at the moment, and I hate to say this because it seems so non-caring, but unfortunately in war, which it is a war, and it has been for a long time. Just because you didn't know it existed doesn't mean it's not a war. The war will not be televised, and then it changed to the war will be televised, and then it changed to the war is just a continuous thing that hopefully is ending shortly. Thank you, Trump and them in his administration for for fighting for us, and to the Republicans that are standing their ground and to the Democrats that are waking up to the realization that the government has changed. I know y'all hate the government, but it's legit changing in your favor for the natural citizen that is in a bad spot on welfare and whatnot. The money is going to be redistributed to help the lower economy gain ground to become a middle economy. And then from there, you have the options to do what you want. But as a low income or income based, as of right now, yeah, I mean, it sucks. But like I was saying, you can't make an omelet without cracking the eggs. You gotta stir the pot, and that is what is happening right now with ICE and the immigration reform and all that good jazz. So from there, it looks bright. And I know a lot of people might disagree with me on that, and they might not, for all I know. Maybe enough eyes have been opened that this is going to be going smoothly now. That's what I pray. I really do pray that. But yeah, like I said, just watching Logan, it's quite the interesting concept, because it's based in 2029. And the free thinkers or the X-Men are being eliminated. So then we have to go into alternate timelines and whatnot. But Psychopaths, check that out. It's an anime, I believe. Japanese anime. I could be wrong. Manga. But they have an AI program, Aladdin or something similar. But it reads the frequency of thought to calculate the percentage of a possibility of a crime. And it gets to the point where if you have an emotion that resembles I don't want to say a complete thought, but an emotion that induces anger. Okay. Everybody's allowed to feel anger as long as you know how to distribute it properly so that you don't harm anybody or yourself. And in Psychopaths, it's like the movie with Tom Cruise where the AI sees the future, but it turns out to be the three X-Men mutant things that can psychologically tell the future and whatnot. But yeah, and a genome that they don't quite comprehend how to explain because of the neuropathic anomalies that exist inside of the human species of the genome, of the DNA strand that exists with the God code imprinted into it and of it to make the DNA be the central hub of the intellectual properties of the RNA to create the cells and whatnot. And so then we get back to the fact that, what is it, like I think it's 3 to 7% of DNA is unlocked. The rest is junk. I'm willing to bet The ones in actual, like, that know and whatnot, I'm willing to bet the highest out there right now is at 17%. 22. 22 would be a reasonable logistic. 22% of DNA has been unlocked in hypothetical scenarios where not hypothetical, and logistical scenarios with the maximum efficiency of the current state of human body. I'm guessing that 22% of somebody's DNA has been unlocked. And I bet that person can do amazing, or those people, person, can do amazing things, you know? But that goes back to the psychological programming of society in order to make sure that they stay numb to the fact that they can unlock their genome, and that makes them more susceptible to psychological warfare and imprinting onto the normalcy of the state of global society. And then in turn makes it so that the power of belief makes it block the growth of self. If you're constantly told how you feel or something and why you feel it, then you're gonna create neural pathways that link that into a logical form of thought. If you expand that branch, so you got your feelings here, which are all neural bundles of neural pathways that are connected to each emotion. And then you have thoughts and knowledge that protrude from each node with a tree-like form of neuroplastic nodes that are not nodes, synapses that transfer the electricity from one to another. So if you connect the emotion to things that are told to you, then the emotion automatically runs through that process to reach the logical state of thought, which then releases the emotions to back up that frame of thought. So the more you learn about yourself, you start to realize that what you're told, it may be a good guideline, but then if you know enough about yourself, then you can calculate the percentage that consider what you're told as the baseline, because that's the mass hypnosis spectrum. So if you got the baseline of what they want to be normal, and then you guide yourself, you look at yourself and you guide your frequency and emotional frame of thought from left to right, from normalcy and up to down, from independence and dimensional existentiality. And you come up with they have like the personality spectrums, the 4 different color blocks, or the 5 love languages, or all kinds of stuff, really. Psychological books that help with, or psychological mapping that helps you analyze which key points are in your reference. But that's the problem with that, though, is everybody's everything. You might have a little bit more of everything else, of certain things, but you have a general gist of everything. The more balanced you are, the better. And if you need to call on a certain characteristic then it takes the control to be able to maintain the balance, and when necessary, divert to a singular characteristic trait. And I'm not a professional at this, like actually doing it. I'm knowledgeable of the existence and how it works, and I'm training in it daily. But I don't believe anybody is ever actually a professional at the self realization and how the universe works. I think when you reach professional is when you reach Enoch, and God just says, you know what, dude, you've lived a good enough life and a long enough life. Just rise into heaven with me, you know? And that's where the 99% and the 1% faith. So when your DNA genome unlocks to 99%, which is the intended structure of the creation of humankind in its purest form, is 99% DNA. We are minimal to what was intended by God. And then you have to have the 1% faith. But the 1% faith has to be there in order to break free of the normalcy. Because if you can't accept God and God's creation as being God and God's creation, then you can only accept a finite amount of what the human body is capable of. Because the awareness of something so grand that it's beyond human comprehension is the 1%. Giving thanks and all that good jazz is just showing gratitude. And that's how karma works and all that good jazz. But yeah, you can't really unlock your DNA without the ability to believe that believing is belief in itself. And without belief in itself, nothing is possible. But without the constraint of unbelief, everything is possible. Yeah. All right. Love ya.